welcome to another episode of Journey of Growth. My name is Dheeraj and I welcome you all. Today I have special guest from France. Her name is Alexia Charbonnier. Welcome Alexia to the Journey of Growth.
Hello, thanks for having me.
So about Alexia, she is currently working as a RevOps Manager at Pivot. Prior to that, she has worked with Penny Lane and also worked as a VC analyst. And before that, she has founded her own startup, Actizi. Let's hear her journey because the podcast name is Journey of Growth. And then let's learn about what RevOps is. So shall we start, Alexia?
Ready? Let's go.
Wonderful, wonderful. So we will start with your intro, your professional journey, maybe your college. Would love to know about that.
Yes, for sure. So my name is Alexia. I'm 30 years old. So I study in France at Dauphine, which is a French university. However, I lived for a year in India, so I know a little bit this country. I really love it. I did my exchange program there. And during all the years, I was working in big companies such as L'Oréal, L'Or, and Nivea as a product manager in marketing. Really like it. However, I think it was not made for me. I prefer entrepreneurship. So that's why at the end of my studies, I decided to create my own company, Actizi. It was a B2B marketplace to book leisure activity. Then we switched to a B2B software to optimize process in hotel. Really amazing. However, I did all the mistake from first time founders. So after I decided to have a more global perspective and I did like fundraising and M&A. Then I was working in venture capital industry. And then after I decided to join startups, scale up especially. So that's why I ended up being a SalesOps for 2 years at Penny Lane. And now RevOps Manager at Pivot for a year. And just to explain really briefly, Pivot is a B2B software for procurement, and especially it's a source is the ultimate source to pay software. So it's everything related to selecting your vendors, onboarding them. Your end user are able to do a purchase request, and you have a PO, and then you are able to pay your vendors. And on a more perspective point of view, I really love traveling. It's really my passion. So I have already been to more than 50 countries. So my goal is to visit every country in the world.
Wow. So is Pivot is only operational with their services in Europe or is it across the world?
Yeah, we operate in all EMEA. So we already have a customer in more than 15 geographies. It can be in Nigeria, in South Africa, in Dubai, but also in the UK, in Germany, in France, in Israel.
Wonderful. Wonderful. So yeah, with this, let's dive into today's topic, which is about RevOps, right? So the idea, Alexia, is to have this conversation not only for the ones who know about RevOps, but also somebody who is new in their career might not be aware of what RevOps is, or I should say knows about what RevOps is, but wants to learn and how to make their career. So I think we will just dive from the basics to the advanced part of it. Okay. So yeah.
Yeah, super interesting. I think it's super interesting because it's quite a new job. And so not a lot of people know about it. So to explain, so a RevOps is someone who take care of all the operation for everything related to the revenue. And for me, especially in my company, so it means taking care of operation for the go-to-market team, which are sales and marketing. And if you want my North Star metrics, just to give you what is preventing business team from achieving the business plan. So you can see it I have like 6 levels of action. First one is tooling, data and analytics, process, revenue strategy, revenue enablement, and compensation plan. It's all my levers of action. SalesOps is you are really specialized operation in sales department and MarketingOps in marketing department, whereas RevOps has a more global perspective because you take care of operation for everything related to all operations that have an impact and direct, I would say, touch point with revenue. So you really take care of operation for everything related to the customer.
Okay. And what problems do you solve on a day-to-day basis as a RevOps manager?
The problem I solve can be like really different. I think it's super important to know that the problems you solve really depends on, I would say, 2 criteria. The first one is the maturity of the company. If it's an early stage company, the issue you will solve will be more about processes and tools, because you need to build all the foundation. Whereas if it's a more late stage company, then it will be more about project management and data, because the company is bigger. So you really have really well-established department, I would say. So your job is to break silos. So first one is about the maturity stage of the company, and sales. Second one is about the sales model. If it's a low-touch sales, it will be more focused on automation. Whereas if it's more high-touch sales, it will be more about sales enablement.
Understood. Okay. So you already covered what was supposed to be my next question, how it is different in a large scale company or in a small startup. Yeah, I think wonderful. And somebody, let's say, starting up in a company as a RevOps professional, right? What are the top things that you do in the first 90 days? If you can just walk us through the whole journey step by step, that would be really great.
Then first 90 days are super important. I would say at the beginning, you really need to listen your end users, listen the manager for like really a long time, and do a shadow session. And what I mean by doing shadow session is really sitting next to your user and seeing what they do. Where do they click in the CRM? What are the pains? What are the day-to-days? What materials are they using? This phase is really important, because as a RevOps, your job will be to implement, to optimize processes, or sometimes you will also do strategy. For everything, you need to know what is really the day-to-day of the teams. Otherwise, you will have less credibility. So really at the beginning, focus on listening, active listening, and see and know what is a day-to-day. After some weeks, I will say, you will first have some good understanding. You will have ideas, what to do, what to not do, how to optimize things. So at this time, it's a good time to start to write a roadmap, but don't do it. Be challenged by managers. I think this is some big mistake that is done by most RevOps, is that they only start doing things, but instead of co-constructing a roadmap with managers, they have their own roadmap and just do it. And this is super key, because it's RevOps is co-construction with manager. You are a business partner with manager. So you need to embark team. You need to take care of the issue and really co-construct a roadmap. So be challenged by manager. They will bring you some ideas. They will agree on some ideas you have, or they don't agree. However, at the end, you will have a roadmap that everyone agrees, and after it's execution mode. Really start, you listen, then be challenged by manager, and then execution mode. And I will also say you will have plenty of things to optimize. However, focus on where it really unlock efficiency. For example, don't decide to revamp all sequences because you think you can improve them. If it's not the highest topic in the company, it will be really useless. So you really need to focus on where your action will drive revenue at the end.
What kind of a company should you join according to your profile? That can be specialist versus a generalist. How would a person decide?
Yes, really good question. So yes, according to the company, your job really depends. If you are in a small company, because most of the time you will be the only one ops, you need to be a generalist. It means that you need to have some skills in tooling, how to structure the data, how to connect different tools, but also in enablement, how to train your go-to-market teams in data analysis, and how to build good dashboard, how to track data, how to know the right data and the right KPIs you need to follow at the right timing of a company. So you are not an expert. However, you need to have a global understanding, I would say, of knowledge of all the different pillars I was talking about previously. When you start to be in a more mature company, you will see that the RevOps, you are not alone, you have a team with you. Most of the time, the teams are divided in like two typologies, I would say. Either you specialize your ops in a department. For example, one is dedicated to sales ops, one is dedicated to marketing ops. Or another way to structure your team is by, I will say, skills. One will be dedicated to project management, one will be dedicated to toolings or what we call system. One will be dedicated to sales enablement. So you need to think about, are you more a generalist or are you more a specialized person? And so according to this, you will go to a more mature or less mature company. So this is the first point. Second point I will say is see and assess how is the importance of operation in your company. To give you a really concrete example, if you are Uber or Dot with a bicycle, operations that are the heart of the company, because you need to deal with all the bicycle, all the cars and everything. Whereas, for example, me, I am in a software company. Obviously, operations are not at the heart of the company. It's still important, however, it's not at the earth. So your job will be really different.
What all tools that you usually use and to solve what kind of problem? As a RevOps manager, what are the common tools that a person uses and what kind of problems that they solve with those tools?
I would say I use two different kind of tools. The tools for which are used by business team and the tools that I use as a RevOps. You have like plenty of tools, but what I think is really interesting, there is a new type of software that are emerging, which are natively made with artificial intelligence. And I think it's like super cool because it's not just a bot on top of a software where you can ask your question. They are really, the way they are structured, I don't know how to, because I'm still thinking about it. So it's difficult for me to explain. However, I really can see that they are really natively built for AI. To give you an example, we just roll out a new tool named Cargo. Cargo, it's an orchestration platform for RevOps and growth teams. And I really love this tool because it's a way to connect and to make workflows from different tools, and think like Zapier, where you can put condition and so on. And it's really, really cool. And I will say, in general perspective, don't try to find the tools for everything, because you will see that the sales tech stack is really crowded. You have like many actors, and sometimes you don't need a tool. Sometimes it's better to still do the process manually. Yeah. What I love about Cargo is that it's going to tackle one of my main issues, which is how to take care of the data quality. So to give a really concrete example, the two workflows that we have already implemented is one to automatically merge companies, duplicates of companies. So in HubSpot, because we are on HubSpot for now, you only have really simple rules to manage duplicate. Do they say like a duplicate of a website URL? But after, you will have to manually merge a duplicate for all companies, which is a nightmare. So here with Cargo, the first workflows we have rolled out, it's like you can have different criteria. For us, it was, do we see a duplicate of website URL and or a duplicate of LinkedIn company page? It's our two key to know if there are duplicates. And then after, you have like lots of condition, and then automatically it merged duplicates. So for me, it's a game changer. Second workflow, which is also game changer, it's like after, we have another workflow which automatically enrich companies. So whenever a new company goes in our CRM, then I will make sure that the most important fields for us are backfill. For us, for example, it's number of employee range, LinkedIn company URL, the headquarter country, websites, and also the stack, because we connect with another tool named their stack. So we are able to know exactly the stack of the company. Because for us, it's super important. We would like to know do they have an ERP, a financial or accounting software, SSO or communication tool, legal tool, and chart tools, because our products need to be connected with these tools. So if we know, for example, they are having a NetSuite, Slack, Bamboo HR, Google SSO, for us, it's a perfect match. And that's a way to prioritize the outreach by our sales team. So, and after, for example, another way to leverage this data is like for our Google Ads and LinkedIn Ads strategy, we will be able to personalize an audience and to reach out to the company with their really good and right messages on a marketing perspective. So this is a good example, I would say, of how RevOps really help marketing and sales team. And because I'm both on both sides and I have a more global perspective, I'm able to see the interconnection.
From a business perspective, when is the right time to introduce RevOps team?
My recommendation will be as soon as you started having salespeople. Why? Because you need to set up tools and especially a CRM. And the more you wait, the more technical depth you will have because you need to think your CRM as a product. And what is really important and key is to think about how to structure the data, which information are key for the business. And the more you wait, obviously, the more debt you will have. My advice for this will be everything that everything they will do. My advice will be everything related to revenue is important. And what I mean by everything related to revenue will be questions such as how much does a customer pay? What is the billing frequency? Which discount does the customer have? How long is the commitment? Who won the deal? Which acquisition channel is it? All this kind of information. And even if you are not leveraging the data yet, it's still important to structure and to capture the data because one day 100% you will need this data. And at that time, it will be worse and it can be really a nightmare to backfill the data. So structure the data, it costs absolutely nothing. And in the future, you will use it. What I will add is from my point of view, what is a good RevOps? Because someone asked me this question a few weeks ago. I would say a good RevOps is someone who has both technical and business skills. And by technical skills, I mean especially someone who understands how to structure data. Because the objective is having a good data infrastructure to be able to after do a good reporting, dashboarding, and so on. Also, you need someone who has good project management skills, someone who is a problem solver, a doer, know how to implement a strategy in an operational point of view.
Okay.
And after, really important, and I think maybe the most important one, someone who has a good stakeholder management and low ego.
I think that is really important no matter how good you are. If you are not able to manage the stakeholders and their expectations, you won't be successful no matter what you do. You do your own business, you do your job, right? Stakeholder management is the important point.
Yeah, and what is really important is that you need to know that ops, we don't manage people directly. So it's more about influencing people. That's why it's super important because you need to embark people in your project, in your vision, but without having I would say direct, I'm not their manager. So if I say, okay, and we have to do it, if they say, no, I cannot do anything because I'm not their manager. So that's why it's super important to find a good way because you need to influence them. And so that's why it's super important.
Yeah, you have put it up in a very good way, in a very easy way. What are the core metrics that you track to measure the success of your RevOps?
Whoa. And this question is super difficult to answer because it's super difficult because we can have and we need to have impact directly on the business plan but on a more indirect way. Because as a reminder, for me, my North Star metrics is to help a business team on problems that unlock their efficiency. So I will say first is obviously do we reach the business plan? And after I would say do my end user are happy? And I will say also if no one is talking about operations, it means that there is no issue. and this is my goal. But it's really difficult, to be honest. That's part of the issue of RevOps. It's that it's super difficult to monitor directly our impact, because when everything is working well, no one is talking about operation. And when issues start to appear, that's when people talked about RevOps. So they only talked about operations when there are issues. So it's kind of super frustrated. And we really work in the shadow. But yeah, I would say that's my key metrics.
You folks are the Batman of the business world, you know? So when shit hits the roof, that's when people remember you. Otherwise, you're working day in, day out, and nobody knows what the works is going behind the scenes.
Yes, exactly. That's why you need to have low ego also.
What has been your key learnings in the whole journey of working as a RevOps manager, and also when you speak to other RevOps professionals, maybe your peers? What is the overall learning from you, and what you see that people learn from this?
Yes, so I was really lucky because when I was at Penny Lane for 2 years and a half, it was really during scale. And so I learned a lot. I will say that my key learnings are, first, choose your battle wisely. Because again, you need to influence people. So if you cannot win all the battles, but you need to have some key ones and you need to guide people. And second one would be, it's impossible to scale complex operation. So try to make complex things simple, but it's hard to make things simple, really. And third one will be, top manager, middle manager, and end user don't have the same expectation. You need to work for both of them. To give you a concrete example, end user will be really focused on their day-to-day about where to click in the CRM, where do they find the information, and so on. Top manager don't care about this. They only care about data, reporting, and knowing the strategy. And middle manager are between the two, because they are challenged by the manager, so by the top management, about data and reporting. However, their end user, their team they manages, always talked about really operational stuff to them. So they are between each other. So know what exactly each person wants and work for them. Fourth one, I would say there are issues everywhere, and especially in a scale up. So focus on where you can provide more values to the business. You will see that only 20% of the issue really provide 80% of the value. So focus on it, because otherwise you will consume too much energy not working on the right topic. And fifth, stay close to the business team. I think this is key, because again, you need adoption from teams, and especially in a scale up or startup, things change really fast. So what you think can be true like 6 months ago, it will be really different 6 months later. So humility, stay too close to teams, do shadow session really often, and then you will be able to learn from the field and continue to have adoption.
This is a little controversial question.
Okay.
What is the bad RevOps?
Okay. A bad RevOps. Bad RevOps is someone who don't have a business sense. Someone who love tools for tools, but don't think tools to solve business issues. Someone who like to automate everything without having done it manually first. Someone who roll out an entire process instead of starting small and iterating. Someone who has his or her own roadmap, which is totally decorrelated to the business team's roadmap. Someone who don't focus, who prefer to solve, I would say, RevOps issues instead of solving business teams issues. Someone who, and the worst, someone who don't understand and don't know by heart the day-to-day of business teams. And this, it happened a lot. And it's super funny, because when I was a founder, and when I created my company, it's a mistake I made. I thought I knew my customers, whereas I really didn't know them. And my customers are marketing and sales team. And now I try to know by heart what are the issue. So it means what is their day-to life? Where do they click in the CRM? As a concrete example, I can do prospection by my own. I know what is a good fit for us. I know the message they are sending. I know what is the process, like with Sales Now, with HubSpot, and everything. So I think it's key.
You said a very wonderful thing. As a RevOps professional, if you are not putting out the fire of business, instead you have your own set of problems that you are solving with a bloat of tools, with a lot of stuff and processes, you are a bad RevOps professional. And this is the wrong adoption of RevOps as a process or as a department into the company. That was
Yeah,
amazing.
because really sometimes you have the love for some topics which really make absolutely no business sense. And you start to work on some topics, and I see it a lot, some ops like we really try to deep dive about the new feature on HubSpot, which is the lead scoring, the new lead scoring, or the new lead object. And they deep dive and they start to testing and so on, whereas it's absolutely not the highest topic for the sales and marketing team. For me, this is a shame. You can know a little bit, but don't spend too much time. It's not the priority. You need to focus your time on what are the priorities for your marketing and sales team. And this really, it happens a lot.
That's cool. I mean, it's a very good perspective that we got and such great insights, Alexia. I want to thank you. This would be really helpful, not for the people who want to make their career in RevOps or are early in their RevOps journey, but also for the founders, for the managers to implement, if they want to implement RevOps as a process or maybe improve on their processes, existing ones. That would be really helpful. And if anybody wants to connect with Alexia, they should go to her LinkedIn profile, Alexia Charbonnier. So yeah, she's quite very responsive and very helpful. So yeah, with this, thank you so much, Alexia, for taking out time and joining me.
Thank you, you for inviting me. I think it was like super interesting, and I really hope it can help people. And it was really a pleasure, even if it's not. I'm not really comfortable in this kind of exercise all the time, but it was really interesting having this conversation with you.
I tell you one thing, okay? Before finishing up, there's one thing. Anybody who will be reaching out to you, cold outreach, will be taking up some observation from this podcast. And the outreach will be, hey, I saw you on Dheeraj's podcast on Journey of Growth. You spoke about this. This is the product that we have. Be ready for that.
Yeah. And this is a good outreach, to be honest. And at Pivot, what we try to do is like to personalize outreach. And to be honest, it's the best way for people to answer because we think, okay, they try to know a little bit and it's not an automatic messages.